Devastation?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Good morning.
thank you, sir. So good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the second day of our 5 days online faculty development program on artificial intelligence and machine learning under Auto Grant and AICT scheme. Today we have 3 sessions. First 2 sessions will be taken by our Devashish sir, and the third session, that is actually session 6, will be taken by Dr. Chandan Chakraborty. Dr. Debashish De is a professor at Department of Computer Science and Engineering and Director of School of Computational Science of Macau, West Bengal, India. And he is Adjunct Research Fellow, University of Western Australia. He is a senior member of IEEE, Fellow IET, Secretary CSI Kolkata. He was awarded the prestigious Boycast Fellowship by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, to work at Heriot Watt University, Scotland, UK. He received the Endeavour Fellowship Award from 2008-2009 by DST Australia to work at the University of Western Australia. He received the Young Scientist Award both in 2005 at New Delhi and in 2011 in Istanbul, Turkey, from the International Union of Radio Science, Belgium. In 2016, he received Jessie Bose Research Award by IIT New Delhi. In 2019, he received Shiksha Ratna Award by the Government of West Bengal. He developed the Center of Mobile Cloud Computing and has supervised 15 PhDs. He published in 300 journals and 100 conference papers, 12 books, and filed 9 patents. His H index is 31 and citation 4600. So today, actually, we are eager to hear from Sir Devashish Sir. So today he will give a talk on intelligent mobile edge computing. So he will be taken to 2 sessions. First part will be taken from 9:30 to 11:30, and again he will be taking the second session from 11:45 onward. Bas, or about the edge. Sorry. Over to you, sir. Sir, please start the session.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Shukurna Mukherjee, madam, for your nice introduction. And
Morning, sir.
good morning, everyone. So I believe that this session will be interactive, and I don't want to take the question at the end. Anyone has a question? I think, madam, it is possible to allow them to in between, or you can.
Yes, sir. Sure,
Yes.
sure. So those who have the questions, please either raise your hands or write in the chat box.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
So you can. You're always welcome to discuss, because it is not one way. Sometimes I'll also discuss if madam is present. So that we can get, at least we are alive, right? It's not the one way. Okay. So again, welcome everyone for this second day of machine learning and AI workshop. And today, just I want to give you some brief idea of regarding this intelligent mobile edge computing. Rather, this edge computing is very popular nowadays because of this intelligence, and the device, what is called mobile phone, which is in our hand. So everyone is using this mobile device, and this device is almost everyone. If you consider India, what is the population? Around 140 crore, but about the number of mobile phone is around 200 crore. That means almost everyone is using either one or two mobile phones, right? And that means number of SIM cards. Nowadays mobile phone has 2 SIM cards. So either we are using Jio, Airtel, or Vodafone, or various networks. So today, just I want to give you some basic idea how this network is acting as a mobile network is acting as an intelligent network, and what kind of intelligence we are providing to this network, right? And especially now we are in very challenging time, right? So in this challenging time, we have to provide this network support, especially to this digital transformation, because you know that nowadays we are facing this pandemic and everyone is sitting at home, and we are now going through various kinds of turmoils. So these issues are uh, taken care of by this intelligence or mobile intelligence, because everyone has a mobile phone in their own hand. So if we can make this intelligent device, means mobile phone as an intelligent device, then only we can transform the whole world, and we can digitally transform and overcome the challenges in recent times. So that is the motto of providing the intelligence to the mobile devices. Okay. So before I start, I just want to mention that I'm from Macau, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, and we have a center of mobile cloud computing, which is known as CMCC. What do we do in CMCC? We generally do a lot of experiments with mobile and cloud. We transfer the data from mobile network to the cloud network, and we do a lot of experiments with various sensors, which having various sensing capabilities, and we have our own private cloud network. So we play with these devices from mobile to data transfer to the cloud, and cloud to mobile. So it is a two-way communication. So we have to make this total transformation from mobile to cloud and cloud to mobile in a digital fashion. Okay, that means the way we are communicating with your mobile device to the cloud or cloud to mobile must be intelligent enough to provide the best quality of service. We call it QoS, quality of service, and also we have to provide the quality of experience, user experience, right? See, when we are talking about the mobile networks, user must be experiencing a very high reliability, because reliability is very important in modern mobile communication. So these are the research we are performing. I'll show you some of the slides that for next 4 hours I'll be with you, and we'll be sharing the recent state-of-the-art work what we are performing in our lab, as well as what is happening around the world around us. Especially when you're talking about this machine intelligence or machine learning, which is actually governing the whole world with using various learning technique, which makes our mobile device much more intelligent. So this is our campus. It's around 40 kilometers away from Kolkata, and we have a laboratory. This laboratory is in this building of around second floor. So which is known as CMCC. So CMCC also have the website. Anyone has any query, you can go to this website of CMCC of Macau, so we can get detailed discussion. Now, coming to the little bit history of intelligence, mobile intelligence. So we have to go through the basic part of J.C. Bose, right? Everyone knows J.C. Bose, who first started this wireless communication, and through which we are actually governing this. We are getting these mobile networks around us, and it happened from Calcutta itself. Whole world is using this mobile phone, but before Marconi also, J.C. Bose has developed, and I was fortunate enough to handle this device at our college, science college. So J.C. Bose first started this one, and this is a second person. Means I think everyone know this one, right? Anyone know who is the person here with his mobile phones? Anyone? Shukurna, madam. So
no one has written.
Yes. So you know that the mobile phone, whatever everyone has mobile phone, right? We cannot survive without mobile, right? And he is the person who first developed this mobile phone, and his name is Martin Cooper, and he's still alive. And if you write an email, he also gives replies. So active person. And he first developed in this Motorola mobile phone. And in 1973 to 76, almost 25 years before, right? 30 years before, he developed this mobile phone. And this is the oldest version. You know, this Martin Cooper actually is called father of mobile phone, right? So JC Bose started the wireless communication, but when you are talking about mobile phone and mobile devices, it is by Martin Cooper itself. And just like Gordon Moore in Moore's law, so Cooper also developed the law of Cooper's law. He also explained that Martin Cooper explained that how this device will evolve, and the speed will increase, right? When we were talking about 5G, 6G network, so earlier it was 1G during his time in 1976, 1973, that time. So now we are talking about, we are all using 4G network, and we are having this 5G mobile phone already in the market. 5G network is coming up in slowly in India. So this 5G is basically intelligent mobile network. So hats off to this person, and everyone must remember this person. Otherwise, you know, he has developed the mobile phone. What is in your hand, right? Maybe some of you are listening to this lecture on your mobile phone itself, right? And Martin Cooper developed these devices, and he is still active and actively giving various you know, intelligent information to how to make these devices and network intelligent. And he is the person who first developed the base station. So he has a lot of contribution towards the mobile network. And yes, so this year also we have, this year theme was also World Telecom Day, just almost 1 month before, 17th May. Today is 16th of June. So 1 month before we have celebrated this World Telecom Day, World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, where we have seen that this year theme of this day was actually transformation in the challenging times, right? So that is the reason I put this title, Intelligent Mobile Edge Computing, which will actually govern the present mobile network, and especially accelerating the digital transformation in the challenging time, because we are talking about challenging. So I'll explain what are the challenges we are facing, and is how these mobile networks become intelligent, and how we are providing this intelligence to these networks, right? Because so we are talking about machine learning, supervised, unsupervised learning, but we have to make this device and our system intelligent, our signaling system intelligent, right? Otherwise, what will happen? We will not get the signal in proper time and proper way, right? So signaling and the proper signaling is very important, right? So let's come to this slide where you can see that we are talking about intelligence. So intelligence is around us, right? So let's talk about 5G. So 5G is knocking at the door. If you open the Flipkart or Amazon, today also I've seen a lot of 5G mobile phones at affordable cost of 15,000 around they're selling. And what is actually there in the handset, what is not in the present day handset, means present handset what you are using, what I am also using, right? So basically we are providing some onboard intelligence, right? What is onboard intelligence? So, you know, when we are talking about this mobile phone, so every mobile phone itself, you see, all the mobile phone itself has an intelligence in the network devices. So the chip or the motherboard of the mobile phone are coming up with the chips or these devices or the processor, which is AI enabled, right? And that is called onboard AI. That is known as onboard or on-device AI, right? So those are from electronics background, they know that we have to burn the chip, and we have to provide this IoT or this inbuilt facilities within the chip, and we are actually implemented the chip on the mobile phone itself. I'll explain slowly what kind of AI actually people are putting in the mobile devices. Okay. So you know that we are, after you when you will be using this 5G mobile, we'll be going through various new experiences, new verticals, and processing speed. Obviously, it is very, very fast because of high bandwidth and also high and intelligent signaling system. Intelligent means obviously it is AI based intelligence, and also customized and value. Customized means I can see there are already the 111 participants in this workshop, in this auto workshop, where if we can make a device which is providing customized value, customized solution for each and everyone using this mobile phone. Can you believe it? That means we are providing the intelligence 1:1. So all the 112 or 111 participants, they can use their customized data, means customized intelligence based on their type of use, right? So I'll be explaining this kind of customized learning system, right? So we heard about machine learning, deep learning, but this is a new way of learning in 5G mobile phones, which we will be buying. Maybe everyone have to buy this 5G mobile, maybe somewhere middle and end of this year 2021. So this AI-based mobile phones will provide customized solution for everyone, right? Personal, or sometimes called personalized solution, customized or personalized solution. So mobile phone know yourself, right? And mobile phone can detect whether it's Debashish or Shukarna or Nilanjan or Amarto. So everyone, every individuals, the mobile phone will understand, they will dictate, and they will provide the intelligence. So these are the very interesting areas. So I'll be explaining in detail. Okay. So this is called on-device AI processing in augmented way. We heard about augmented reality. Yesterday, I was listening to the inaugural session where Mohua Chakraborty madam also mentioned that we are providing this virtual reality and augmented reality, right? So this augmentation is also very important part of this mobile network. We have to augment the network. Augment means we have to provide the virtual reality, and also the landscape we have to consider, and accordingly we will basically provide this intelligence. So mobile phones are coming up with augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. So these are all available, and sometimes we can go to the virtual world, right? Especially those who are playing the video games, they go to the holograms, and this kind of facility is also available on this present day 5G mobile phone itself, right? Where we can give personalized solution, and we can talk about reliability. Reliability is one of the very important and major aspect of this network. Whatever you are developing must be reliable network. Reliable means it should be accurate, and it can be repeatability, right? Repeatability is one of the very important. So reliability is very important. If your system is reliable, then the quality of service will be high. If the quality of the service is high, then what will happen? Reliability will be high, and the reliability high, then quality of experience of the user, right, must be high. So what is QoE? Quality of experience. Anyone? You can write in chat also, no problem. Quality of experience means that, say you are using, say any network, say Vodafone. If you do not like the network, you will jump to other networks like Airtel. You have other Jio or many other networks. Or if you do not like Jio, you can jump to other networks. So that means customer satisfaction is very important. So this AI is actually helping us to actually get proper customer satisfaction, right? So reliability point of view, we have to provide the efficient network and that must provide the proper intelligence to the network, right? So this is very, very important that when you're talking about network intelligence, that must be reliable and repeatable and also providing high efficiency. Signal must not drop, right? So efficiency must be high, right? The last point is, that which is talking about the privacy and security. Privacy is one of the key aspects of present day mobile network. Why? Because everyone is carrying mobile phone, right? But you know that all the data, whatever you are storing, it is going to the Google Picture or whatever the videos you are storing in your mobile phone, that is directly going to the network. So our privacy is almost at a loss, right? We actually do not bother. 99% do not bother about this security unless and until we face a big problem, big challenge, right? So anyone can comment on these privacy issues. Any participants? You can unmute yourself and comment on it. Anyone of you? Now you can write in your chat, no problem. I'll see that question. See, without privacy, our system cannot work, right? If you see the iPhones, you know, I was just looking at iPhone app yesterday on the television. It is showing that there's some features that they are in iPhone, which will provide you the high security and this privacy, right? So this is very, very important factors. When you're talking about security and privacy is one of the very, very important and major aspects, right? So, Shukrna madam, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I'm talking about the privacy. So,
Yes.
do you really bother?
Yes.
My question is, but everyone bother, but they really do not follow the privacy rules, right? Security is one of the very important aspects, but we do not bother about our security unless and until we are in trap, right? Isn't it, madam? Say, for example, we do a lot of financial transaction. Do you think your mobile phones are safe? And do you think this AI can help you to provide this intelligence and to provide the security and to provide this privacy? Okay. So privacy is a big challenge, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And you know, every day, almost every day, we are having cyber PS, cyber police station, and they are facing the problem. You know, they are launching. Everyone is launching their you know, the what's called that complaint. They lost this 8,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees, whatever, and this is due to these apps, and everyone do not bother about their how to use the app. Actually, this is not the security workshop, but still, security and AI is working hand to hand together, right?
Yes.
I can give you one example. That, madam, do you use WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
So, because none of the participants are asking, so.
Sir, actually, some of the participants are writing in the chat box.
Yes.
Actually,
So,
one of them
yes,
is-
yes. Okay, I'm going through this one. But before that, I'm asking one question to you. That I'm just taking a very simple example. That every day, I'm talking two case studies. First case, everyone every day we are taking our pictures, right? With your family members, with your friends. Maybe all the times we do not want to share the pictures, right?
Yes.
But when we are using this mobile phone with internet, your picture is gone. Agreed? So every morning we see what happened in the 3 years before, right? That picture is displayed by Google. Even I forget what happened 3 years before, but Google show that picture that, okay, this thing happened to you. This was on say 16 June into 2018. you are in this, you're in say this sea beach, or you are in this hotel, or you are doing this, celebrating something, or you took a picture with your family and friends, right? Now this, all the pictures are going to the cloud without you, almost without your permission. So that is the biggest challenge, right? This is number one. Number two, that is fine. But when you are talking about financial loss, are you ready with financial loss? Anyone is ready with financial loss? I think no one. But many of us do not know how to use this apps. Basically, we are all app based, right? Whatever I have discussed today, these are all applications, mobile apps, and security is also inbuilt part of it. Okay. So, say you're purchasing something in Flipkart. Madam, do you buy something from Flipkart or Amazon?
Rarely, sir.
But we buy, right? Sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
Anything you buy, because of lockdown, we do not. I do not go to outside home, so we buy it frequently, right? Now, my question is to you, or to everyone, not to you, everyone, that while you are purchasing, generally we prefer OTP, and OTP is very common nowadays. Agree?
Yes.
Now, using this WhatsApp, everyone is actually connected, right? And while you are using this WhatsApp, I'm just talking only WhatsApp. While you are actually using this WhatsApp, you are given the access to your OTP also, right? And OTP cannot, no one can see, because OTP is coming to you directly to your mobile phone. But OTP, when you're talking about OTP access, everyone is accessing it, because you are given access to these various apps to see your message. Agree or disagree? So when you are basically loading this app, we are giving the access to our message, to the pictures, and to these all the systems. So if you have given access to this WhatsApp message, that means what happens? Actually, you are given access to your mobile phone. So you have given access to the almost everyone to this OTP based system. So your OTP is gone. So what is the security? If some hackers, through your access, if someone can get the OTP, actually there is nothing, basically nothing in your hand. Everything is gone. So this is the biggest challenge, right? So that is the reason various machine intelligence are coming up to provide this privacy preserving technique. Okay. So you believe it or not, so we are actually governed by the apps. So someone asked, what is the difference between privacy and security? Okay, I'll explain that one. Who is the person? Privacy and security. Very important question. She asked the question, what is the difference between privacy and security? Very important question. Privacy means your own data. Privacy means our own data. Whatever we are eating, whatever we are performing, and that is the privacy, right? That is our, we have the right for our privacy, right? I'll be explaining to you what is privacy preserving machine learning. Today, I'll be explaining with you what is privacy preserving machine learning, right? Because privacy is very important. Actually, using these apps, we are 99% of us do not bother about privacy. We are giving access to everyone unless and until we face a problem. So that's why the government of India is going through various kinds of training program. We also do various training program under MeitY and AICTE also. So which provides the security services, how to use your mobile phones, how to provide the security, right? security is different. Security means in terms of your financial security. How to keep your OTP safe. Why you not allow your these apps to access your message things, right, in your mobile phone. We do not allow everyone to access everything, but blindly we, when we download any app, we say yes, yes, yes. If you are saying yes, you are giving access to everyone, so that is creating the problem. So someone has mentioned that Shubhabrata Sengupta, no devices regarding the financial transactions are safe. This is partly true, partly wrong, because I'll be explaining those techniques. Google has come up with learning techniques, which is making your financial transactions safe. So I'll be explaining to you today. Okay. Yes, someone mentioned that B. Ghosh has mentioned that yes, apps has jeopardized your security. Agreed with you. And someone has mentioned about we can disallow the apps to automatically do the OTP. We can enter manually. What is okay? So actually, the question is, when you're talking about this kind of messages, that we should not allow this OTP to read, right? So there is a handbook. Maybe sometimes today is not a security workshop. I'm not going in details of the security, but there is some I can share to the organizer. I can share to the madam. There is some workbooks are there, what to do and what not to do. So if you follow those rules and regulations, then only you can keep yourself safe and secure, right? So yes, we are all using this mobile phone. We have to use it. We have to download the apps. We have to use these machine learning techniques, and we can build our own machine learning techniques, right? And I'll be explaining it today within few minutes. Okay, just wait and watch.
Sir, there is a question actually in the chat box. What about the mobile banking facilities apps provided by bank itself? Are they safe, like the YONO app of SBI? Actually, Srijita Basu asked the question.
Yes, yes. There is no single line answer. Actually, problem for us that we do not know how to use mobile. Okay. I'll give you the madam. I will give you the links, and I will give you the training. 10 hours training workshop. What we do regularly. And we have a center of cybersecurity in our University Macau, and we provide free training to all the participants, and we provide the free videos. Even Government of West Bengal has Center of Excellence of Cybersecurity. So they also explain, and also they also explain how to make this secure applications. And 99% do not know, if you lose your money, you can get back your money. If you make a complaint, first of all, two things. Number one, I'm giving answer of this question. The two things. One is the technology part. Second part is legal part. From technology point of view, we have to know how to access or how to give the access of these mobile phones, how to give the proper setting. 99% who don't know how to set the mobile phones, how to download these apps. Okay, that is very important, and that needs a lot of training. And these YouTube videos are available. I'll share with you. And number two, I have heard from many participants that they lost their money. Say someone lost their 60,000 rupees from which is deducted from your account. And but if you make a complaint, I think, madam, we have heard that someone lost their money. Shukuna, madam?
Yes, sir.
But the question is to you that do you know that is it easily possible to stop the, if you say, for example, if I am Devashish there, if I lost my 60,000 rupees from my account, what to do? What is the next step? You know the steps? There is some legal steps are there.
I never faced such kind of situation by heart, but I heard about this thing.
No, but my question is to you, how to stop it? Means how to get back that 60,000 rupees. Say I lost 60,000 deducted from my, say, SBI account or HDFC account. How to get it back? Do you know the steps?
No, sir. I don't.
See, it is to all the participants and to you, madam, that we actually, that we should not, if you lost your money, immediately you write an email, something hard copy. If you write an email to the bank and to the police station that you lost your money and you want to get back your money, and complaint must be launched within 72 hours. Mind it, I'm repeating, within 72 hours. That means 3 days, right? If you can do it, according to the RBI laws, according to the cyber law of India, you'll get back the money. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
So one of my friends is one of the top lawyer of. His name is Vivash Chatterjee, right? And he's also popularly known as Cyber Chatterjee. So I always discuss with various this kind of things, and he has his own blog. Anyone is interested, you can go to Vivash Chatterjee. He has his own website also. He has own this thing, and he has written what to do and what not to do. I'll share this thing to Shukarna madam or to Moha madam also, okay? So that you can send it to your participants. So participants can learn how to use your mobile phone and what is the legal steps they can take and how to keep your money safe, right? So this is possible. This is possible, okay? Okay. So actually we are deviating, so we should not deviate. Okay. Now coming to this today's agenda of machine learning, right? Since yesterday, we have started with, I think you have gone through various deep learning techniques and where you have gone through various supervised and unsupervised learning techniques, right? In case of supervised learning, I think many of you know, but I'm just repeating. In case of unsupervised learning means there's no level data where we can see there's something clustering we do. Very popular clustering I use in my wireless sensor network, which is known as K-means clustering. Okay, this clustering is used for customer segmentation. Customer segmentation means we have to segment the customers, right? When it means the customer who is interested in mobile phone, there are various customers who is interested in say shoes, the customer who is interested in only electronics products, and there are some customer, so those who frequently buy from Flipkart that only vegetables. So we have to if you want to segment this customer, we have to use this unsupervised clustering techniques. Okay, so customer segmentation is one of the very, very important part. And yes, this is a very, very important system for recommendation, right? So if you can segment the customer, we can recommend certain things. Recommend means I can recommend you to buy this Dell laptop because as a teacher of this university, I'm basically we have to use this laptops or this. I just purchased this wireless wired handset. So these are my search. So the we will be getting this kind of intelligence. You will be getting this kind of intelligence from this recommendation system. So see, this is the recommendation system we are getting, and this recommendation system is actually helping us for purchasing these products. So I think everyone has experienced similar experience that if you want to buy any product, if on your mobile phone you are searching, say Dell laptop, in Flipkart also today there is something electronic sale is on, 40% discount is on. So when I was watching this big sale on laptop, in my Facebook, in my LinkedIn, I'm getting the message that this is the best deal of Dell laptop or even Nokia laptop. Whatever laptops are coming in the market with SSD, these are the facilities. And basically, this machine learning using this clustering that is recommending us, okay, to purchase those products. So it is targeted marketing. See, targeted marketing. The term I'm using here is called targeted marketing. This is a very popular picture. If you go to internet, Google search this, you'll get this. So targeted marketing is very important. What is targeted marketing? You can target personalized 1:1, right? What Devashish like, and that recommendation will come to your mobile phone. What Shukarna madam like, that Shukarna madam will get personalized recommendation. So this is known as targeted marketing. What is the advantage? If you're doing targeted marketing, you'll get the products which you want, and you'll be getting your personalized discount also, right? Sometimes they mention that this is the extra 10% discount for you only, and this is valid for 6 hours. That means it is provoking you because you need it, but at the same time the company is giving you extra 10% discount, which they are not providing to all other customers, right? So this is the very important targeted marketing, or this is also known as aggressive marketing, and this is all possible due to this mobile phone based, this rather mobile or laptop based, this unsupervised learning techniques, right? So this is very, very important to have this kind of marketing strategy and marketing techniques. Next part is dimensional reduction. Dimension reduction in unsupervised case, we have big data analytics, and also for something is called feature elicitation. So big data is obviously part and parcel of our life. So we are handling a lot of data, right? Every day we are handling a lot of data, and obviously we are basically submerged with the data. And this big data is actually helping us to going to the proper solution, right? So a lot of companies giving job to a lot of participants for this big data analytics. This is one of the very popular and handsome salary you are getting for this big data analytics, right? Now come to this supervised learning. I think everyone knows this supervised learning, but still I'm repeating. The supervised learning we use basically for regression analysis, right? Regression means for population growth expectation, right? Say a country like India, China have a lot of population. A lot of people are dying and birth rates, and this population prediction is also part of this integrated system, right? This is very, very important part of growth techniques, right? Estimating the life expectancy, how long life you will expect. So if you see the average expected life, 70 years or 80 years, country to country it varies. It based on the atmosphere, based on the pollution level. So this can be also analyzed using the supervised learning, using the level data. Weather forecasting by Kistro or many other companies, they can predict the weather, they can predict the earthquake, they can predict the storms. Everything can be predicted, and these things can be done very interestingly, the forecasting. So these are the very interesting applications of supervised learning. Also, supervised learning is used for not only for regression analysis. Regression analysis is also used for share market analysis, big data analytics of share market. Next part is classification for diagnosis. Those who are working in image processing technology, also for fraud detection. So this is basically supervised and unsupervised learning, right? I think last one day, I think you have professors from IIT was there, and Professor J.K. Mondol, and also from ISI professor has mentioned about this supervised and unsupervised learning in details, I believe. And yeah, this one is another popular learning technique is called reinforcement learning. What is this? Reinforcement learning. Now, what is this reinforcement learning? It is clear from our discussion that we are talking about this supervised learning course, but reinforcement learning is something different, where the learning happens from the scratch. The agent thrown in the person is silent, he don't know how to learn, what to eat, right? How to survive. These are the questions, right? So when you're talking about this learning techniques in reinforcement learning, where actually that agent have to learn by his own. There is no external forces. There is no supervision or unsupervised learning. So agent will perform certain job. If the job is perfect, he will get the reward. If he, then the process will go on. And if the decision is wrong, he will get a punishment. So it is a hit and try method. We can say this is a hit and try method or trial and error method. Reinforcement learning is nothing but trial and error method. Means you try, you may get success, then it is reward, or if it is fail, then it is a punishment. So by this way, the person or the agent will learn. One of the example is Q learning. Q learning is one of the very popular learning technique, and this is very important for real-time decision making. Real-time, mind it, real-time decision making. And robotic navigation, robots moves. Robots. That I think last one day you have heard about a lot of deep learning. We call it deep robots, right? And these robots can move from one part to other part, and they do not know whether they will stuck on the wall and they will move. And these are all real-time decisions, like driverless cars and everything. They are all talking about real-time navigation, okay? Learning tasks, skill acquisition. By this way you can get the acquisition of skill, okay? And also for AI games, we play a lot of video games. So these games are also very important, right? And these are all reinforcement learning. Right? So someone has asked that slide. Yes, I will share the slide. No problem. Yes, someone has asked data mining and machine learning. Yes. See, data mining is a process where we have to mine the data, and obviously these learning techniques are related. Data mining and machine learning is related, obviously. Both the case we are doing for statistical learning. There are various learning techniques, and they are what is called that self-learning, transfer learning, deep learning. They're all various parts and part and parcel of our life. But my question is to you all, because already you're participating to a workshop called machine learning. My question is to you all, whether it's supervised learning or unsupervised learning or reinforcement learning. My question is to you, whether these learnings are going to preserve your privacy, yes or no. I want the answer in your chat. Yes or no. Whether this three learning techniques on the slide, you just tell me whether they will provide privacy. These are the very popular. Kosturi, no. Vishwajit Shan has said no. Yes, more. Ankur Vishwa says no. Yes. Very interesting. See, we are learning machine learning, right? See, this is also learning. Today morning, I am learning that I'm also discussing with you, right? Amartya Chakraborty says no. But my question is to you all, what is the machine learning? Because today, this whole workshop, next 5-6 days, okay, so next 5-6 days we will be learning through machine learning techniques. So we have to provide this solution, which machine learning provides privacy preserving, which preserves your privacy, because privacy and security is ultimate. Answer is there is a learning technique called federated learning, right? So I'll be explaining this. So if you see, before I go to federated learning, I just want to have a quick glance that this learning technique helps in medical diagnosis, okay, in supervised learning, stock market, I've already mentioned, fraud detection, okay, virtual personal assistant like Alexa, Google, Siri, and email spam detection, yes, self-driving cars, yes, machine learning is very much used, product recommendation, traffic prediction, speech recognition, yes, obviously speech recognition is, yesterday Shruti Chakraborty has mentioned it clearly that speech recognition is one of the biggest challenge, and Alexa, I use Alexa every day, and even I cannot survive without Alexa. Alexa become part and parcel of our life, my life at least, you know. I enjoy the music. I asked about the prediction of the weather. So Alexa is always on in my house, and he can understand my voice. And you know, the yesterday Shruti Chakraborty has mentioned, your director of IEM, he has mentioned that this speech recognition is very, very interesting area. They must understand the accent of, say, all the countries, whether it's Indian or whether it's American, whether it's UK. So everyone has their own pronunciation, but still Alexa understands your voice. He has talked about Dragon software, right? Which was used, yes, we also used 20 years before, but now speech recognition is on a different level. In ISI, I have seen that in natural language processing, Utpal sir and everyone, they are working in details of handwriting prediction. Okay. So these are the very, very interesting challenges, and image recognition, automatic language prediction translation. Automatic language translation is very important because this automation is one of the very, very important area. So automatic language translation is one of the very important aspects of modern day technology, right? See, there are various challenges also, right? For example, if you take a pen, you know that, do you think all the problems has been solved on this natural language processing or image processing? Sometimes, you know that we are getting this writing, means NLP or image processing. Sometimes doctors write on the sky. Sky means, my name is Devashish. Just listen to me carefully. My name is Devashish, right? I am writing D-E-V-A-S-H-I-S, right? I am writing on the air. Can the machine learning can capture it? Answer is yes. That level of research is actually happening. Okay? So whatever we are writing on the sky, on the air, with your hand, using this image processing, you know, the pictures will be captured, not by the voice, just by hand movement of your finger movement. Can you see my finger? I'm just writing D. So it will write D on the screen. So either by voice or by hand movement also, you can write your things, right? So these are the very interesting researches are on. Also, some of the image processing, image recognition is that whatever you're drawing on the pen and pencil, that can be also converted to an image. You know, one of my students is working on this, that how to reconstruct the image from a handwritten drawing. So my picture, if someone draws by pencil, how this image can be converted to a real picture, real Devashish, from a sketch Devashish to real Devashish, right? So that is also a very interesting area of machine learning, and that is one of the very challenging areas also, right? So these are the various applications in machine learning. Okay. Now, before I go for federated learning, just I want to mention that we are all talking about cloud computing, right? Or this networking, or this mobile network, and this mobile network, especially 5G networks, are governed by the cloud. So what we call it IBM, this is not my talk. This is mentioned by IBM Watson at AI, that he mentioned how this artificial intelligence is transforming the cloud computing. I'm repeating, how this artificial intelligence is transforming the cloud computing. The answer is, that AI for cloud and cloud for AI. It's a very, very interesting line. This line was mentioned by Professor Raj and also Professor Suman in someone's lectures. I have just written their line, right? It means that you have to develop your cloud network in an intelligent fashion. I'm repeating, your cloud. Cloud means, what are the services of cloud? Anyone can say? What are the services of cloud? What are the cloud services? Yes. Yes. SaaS, PaaS, yes. Yes, fine. That means software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Okay. So I have written in one of my paper that IPaaS, I stands for Intelligence PaaS, platform as a service. ISaaS, Intelligent Software as a Service, Intelligent Platform as a Service. So we have to develop the system which it can select the cloud services. So we have to provide this intelligence to the servers. Also, the cloud can provide the intelligence using this machine learning, supervised learning, or unsupervised learning, or reinforcement learning. Cloud can also govern the whole system. So these are the various way actually we are actually handling this cloud. So cloud for AI and AI for cloud. That means AI based cloud we have to develop. Is it clear? Also, cloud is also providing AI to the services. So intelligence in the both way. Intelligence in the both way. Cloud to device. That means here we are talking about mobile phone and mobile phone to cloud. So both sides we are providing this hand holding to provide the intelligence in the system. So this is a very important term. Okay. So this is very interesting. Try to understand the philosophy of it, right? So we have to provide the intelligence to the cloud, and intelligence of cloud is actually governing this AI. In Bengali, we call it what do you call machat tele mach bhaja. That means you have to provide your own thing in your own way. Means we are giving this intelligence to the cloud, and the same intelligence in a different format. After several levels of learning, we are providing the same thing to the other applications, which is on the mobile phone itself, right? So this is the beauty of the whole system. And IBM Watson is a very, very popular cloud which provides this AI. And there is a philosophy of IBM Watson. Okay. And not only IBM Watson, nowadays Google Cloud is using this. Google is also providing this cloud. Also, Amazon AWS, they're also providing this intelligence. If you go and build your own account in Amazon AWS, I think it is free for the students for 12 months for a certain level. So I'm asking everyone to go and make your own account with your institutional ID. I think it is free for 12 months. 12 months you will get free service up to certain limit. Okay. So where you will see this kind of machine learning techniques are already mentioned. Rather, these services are available, right? So please make an account and you can go through this service trainings, right? Yes. So training, what is that means cloud is trained by the AI, and that training is cloud is providing to the mobile phones, right? So this is the interesting way of providing the service from cloud to mobile and mobile to cloud. Okay. So these two professors, that Professor Raj of Melbourne University and Professor Suman Dasdar, he is also from, I think he's from Italy, and both of them are editor-in-chief of IEEE Cloud, and is editor-in-chief of SEM, IoT, Internet of Things. Suman already mentioned that we always talk to Professor Suman that he talked about Edge AI. Edge AI means AI for the edge cloud and Edge for AI. Means I'll explain today that how the edge device, edge cloud should be providing this AI services, right? And this AI will govern the whole system of cloud. So this edge devices, your mobile phone is nothing but edge device. Edge for AI and AI for edge. So they told these terms, right? Now, what is edge? The question is, we are talking about edge. What is edge? Cloud is a service. Everyone know cloud because everyone use Gmail. Everyone use your email access, right? So by this way, you are accessing cloud every day. And this cloud service and servers are, do you know what is a cloud server in AWS in India? Anyone? Say Amazon Web Services. I think we have around 137, 38 participants. Yes, many places, but in India, is it in Calcutta? Srijita Basu? Is the Amazon Web Service servers are in Calcutta? Yes or no? Not sure. Okay. No, it is not there in Calcutta. See, if you open or if you log into your Amazon account, I'm asking everyone, please do it. If you do not do it practically, you will not understand, right? All the lecture will be at vain, You have to do it practically. And it is free of cost. You should do it. If you make your login account to Amazon Web Service, what you have to do? You have to simply use your own your email ID and your mobile number. That's it. You can directly go to your Amazon account and you just follow it. Amazon, whatever my observation is, Amazon is in Bengaluru. Yes. Yes, is in Mumbai. Correct. Angshuman Roy has given the correct answer. Is in Mumbai. Many times I've used this Mumbai server. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Angshuman. So now question is, why it is in Mumbai? Why not in Calcutta? Why it is in Mumbai? Why not in Calcutta? Angshuman Roy has mentioned perfectly. It is in Mumbai. Yes, yes. Urpita Mojumdar has correctly that, Mumbai has a lot of transaction because Mumbai is our capital city, right? Mumbai is our capital city. So that is the reason the cloud is there. And within India, some servers only there in Amazon. Maybe in Mumbai and in Bengaluru. Bengaluru also a lot of transactions happening, right? But if you go to the fog devices, for example, in our college, say IEM college, okay? In IEM college or at our MacAut University, our university campus, we have lots of servers. And these servers are nothing but what? Fog devices. So see, only thousands of data centers, so cloud devices, but fog devices are huge. Data centers, which is around you. I think IEM also has some servers. So they're all fog servers, right? Fog nodes. Is it clear? See, the numbers has increased from 1,000 to million. How many thousand is 1 billion? Million? Anyone? How many thousand is 1 million? What is the relationship between million and thousand, and what is the relationship? Yes. Yes, 1 million means 10 lakhs. And you understand? So huge amount of fog servers are there around us. Correct. Vishwajit Shah, thank you. That you can see that the fog devices fog devices which is around us and in our colleges. But if you see, nowadays we are in lockdown, right? We are not at our in our college, right? So we are not at our university campus. So what do you have to do? We have to use what? Edge devices. And we see, just see it. How many edge devices? Thousands of, billions of edge devices. Million to billion. How many million is 1 billion? How many million is 1 billion? Anyone? Yes. So you understand 1,000. So you just understand what is the scalability. Scalability means how the systems are increasing from cloud to fog, fog to edge. Just unthinkable, isn't it? Huge amount of data we are gathering, and these are all IoT. Everyone is talking about IoT, and this IoT is also machine learning technique based, means all intelligent devices. And these intelligence devices, basically, the Raspberry Pi and our refrigerators. I think every college we have do experiments, right? In Raspberry Pi, everyone know that, right? And we can also use this machine intelligence, supervised learning, or Q learning in Raspberry Pi, so that Raspberry Pi can take a real-time decision, and they can switch on or switch off your light. Okay, so this is the edge devices, right? And today I'll just discuss the intelligence of the edge, right? I've already explained that AI for cloud and cloud for AI. So cloud must be built up with AI, and that intelligent cloud must provide the services to this servers or to these devices. So see, it is a two-way learning. Intelligence, what is the intelligence is here in the devices, that intelligence has been distributed, right? So this is the beauty of the whole system. Intelligence must be distributed, not must be confined within a very small space. Okay, so intelligence must be governed by the rules and regulations of the whole system. So we have to provide the intelligence to the edge devices. Why? See, these edge devices are connecting with IoT, and if you want to provide the real-time solutions, if you go to this, say this all the laptop, this is my laptop. To perform certain AI job or machine learning job, if my job have to go to fog device of say IEM college or our university in Salt Lake campus, it takes a lot of time. If the server cannot do it, will go to the Mumbai server. Just imagine, just unthinkable. So transmission time, offloading means transferring the data from your laptop to the servers, and if the server cannot do it, then they will transfer the job to the cloud. If the data size is very high, then we have to transfer the data from our edge device to the cloud. Otherwise, what will happen? 80% of job we want to perform in the edge level. That is the reason we need the intelligence at the edge. Is it clear or not clear? This is a very important philosophy. If you want to go to every time you want to go to the cloud and come back, it takes a lot of problem, right? For example, if there is in a hospital, the patient is on the chamber. If your patient data is going to the server cloud, and after machine learning data is coming to the hospital, by that time the patient will die. Agree? So we have to provide the intelligence at the edge, and that is known as edge intelligence. That is known as intelligent edge or edge intelligence. And this is one of the very popular and hot topic of last 2-3 years. Yes, 2018 to 2021. We have to talk about intelligent edge. We have to make this intelligent edge, right? Is it clear? Is the philosophy clear? Why you have to make this intelligent edge? Anyone? Yes. Any participant, any question?
Sir,
Why
I
you have? Yes, yes, yes,
keep
yes.
two questions left in the chat box. So should I say the question actually? When do you use machine learning and when do you use deep learning? Is the decision dependent on the training data size? If yes, how to work with low data using deep learning? Low data size.
See, the question is that you have mentioned that deep learning, machine learning. Deep learning is also machine learning, obviously, isn't it? Deep learning is also machine learning. Generally, you have multiple layers. Neurons are there. I think yesterday, Professor Pavitra Mitra has mentioned about deep learning data. Yes, if you can increase the data size, then obviously the learning techniques will become better and we will get more accurate data. Yes, but obviously deep learning is obviously it is machine learning. We are all talking about deep learning, but deep learning is also machine learning. Surely it is machine learning, no doubt, and it is possible to train by using the how to train the data in deep learning. There is something some technique is known as federated learning. Federated learning. I will be explaining it today. Okay. Fine. But my question is to you all: is it clear that why we have to make the age intelligent? What is the requirement to make the age intelligent? What is the requirement to make the age intelligent? Can anyone answer? Exactly. Fast access. Yes, reduce the latency. Correct. Very good. Excellent. Srijita Basu and Umshuman mentioned that yes, we have to provide real-time solution. See, a driverless car is moving, and driverless car can is governed by their various learning techniques. One of the very popular technique I can tell you is YOLO technique. You only look once. You can recognize whether it's car or it is a human being or everything. YOLO light is very popular, and they're taking the decisions very faster manner. We have to reduce the latency. Yes, we have to we have to reduce the inter-device communication. See how it is possible. Now, question is to you: how it is possible? We are actually reducing the dependency on cloud. See, I'm repeating: we are reducing the dependency on the cloud. It is possible because of two things. I'm repeating. It is possible to reduce the dependency of cloud because of two reasons. Can you tell me what are the two reasons? You can write in chat also. There are two reasons. I'm repeating. There are two reasons, two major reasons that we are actually reducing the dependency on cloud, and that is the reason we are all talking about intelligence at the edge, right? So there are two major reasons. Yes. No, okay, I'm just giving the answer that see, your mobile phone. Your mobile phone earlier it was something 1 GB data or 1 GB RAM, right? Nowadays phones are coming up with 8 GB RAM. Can you believe it? 16 GB RAM in your mobile phone. That means I have my iPad with 16 GB and at a very affordable cost. So that means the processing capability of the device is increasing. Listen, everyone, very carefully. Listen, maybe we're not covering a lot of things, but whatever you are understanding, you should understand from the zero level. There are two important reasons. Because our devices have become powerful. It can process, it can compute, right? It can compute the localized data. At the same time, there is a second other reason is there, which I think is very new thing. Many of you may not know it. There is a second reason is there. What is the second reason? Learning at the edge. Earlier, we have a concept that machine learning, I think some of you are asking deep learning, how many data set is required? Okay. Whether it's possible, some of you asked whether it's possible to learn with very small set of data, whether the learning is possible at the devices, whether the onboard intelligence is possible. Answer is yes. Your 5G devices, I was just looking at the Flipkart today, this morning. There are a lot of 5G mobile phones are there. Basically, that processors are very high-speed processors with high RAM, and onboard computing is possible. Onboard computing. Okay, I'll be explaining it today. Onboard processing is very important term. So this term is coming up, and this is the buzzword of machine learning based edge intelligence. All the edges are intelligent. All the systems are intelligent. And actually, when you're talking about smart city, smart system, smart home, all the appliances must be intelligent, right? All the appliances, all the devices, your AC must be intelligent, your fan must be intelligent, even your kitchen must be intelligent enough. Now, why you are talking about intelligence? What kind of intelligence is here? What is the intelligence extra thing we are providing? Okay, there are two important things, right? One is called learning at the edge. Second is cache memory. I was in the Industry 4.0 workshop IEEE last month, where the people are talking about two important things: intelligence at the edge, intelligence all around us, and it's called voice-based intelligence. Not only text-based intelligence, it is also voice-based intelligence. Also, we have to provide this machine learning in the edge. So, anyone know what is the machine learning in edge intelligence is around us? Any example? Anyone? Wi-Fi, no, Wi-Fi is not. Wi-Fi, intelligent Wi-Fi is there, but refrigerator operation. No, I'm just talking about, okay, just consider only your mobile phone. This is a mobile phone. This is my mobile phone, okay? I think everyone has a mobile phone. Okay. There within your mobile phone. And this is WhatsApp, right? This morning I got the WhatsApp from Nilanjana madam that today's class at 9:30 a.m. Okay, this is the link I have joined. Yes to everyone. Yes. Hello, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, question is to you, madam, that what is the intelligence in your WhatsApp? This is very important question. Yes, in the chat box, IIT and industry control. Okay, let me explain it again. Okay. See, these are the examples of yeah, these are the things I have already mentioned. Lot of things. Yeah. So when you're talking about learning, this something is called. Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yes. Yes. So if you see this slide, it's mentioned that a new learning technique has born, which is by Google. Again, it is done by Google, and it is in the year of 2016. Everyone know there's something term called Gboard. You heard the term Gboard? Yes. So what is Gboard? What is Gboard? Basically, Gboard or federated learning is one kind of collaborative machine learning without centralized training data. Okay. I am repeating. This is known as federated learning. Google Keyboard, yes. Pramit Chandra mentioned that yes, Google Keyboard is nothing but federated learning. What is that? It is a collaborative machine learning techniques without centralized data training. So whatever you have learned for, I think yesterday also you have learned machine learning, deep learning, whatever, but they are not. They're all centralized learning. But today I'm just talking about this learning technique is known as federated learning. Federated learning means everyone having their own mobile phone. Okay, is a standard machine learning approach which requires centralized data training, which does not require. No, only machine can do it. So decentralized manner, we can do the interaction, and with the interaction of mobile device, training model can be trained. So this is a very interesting way. Federated learning is coming into the picture, and it is totally different kind of learning technique. Yes. Someone has question? Noise is kept. Okay. So federated learning enables the mobile phones to collaboratively learn and share the prediction model with keeping all the trained data on the device. I am repeating again. Federated learning enables mobile phone to collaboratively learn and share prediction models with keeping all the trained data on the device. So this is the beauty of the system. Okay. Yeah, it is a collaborative learning, and also it is privacy preserving learning. Okay. It is also privacy preserving learning. Privacy means your privacy in your hand. Okay. Your privacy is in your hand. I can tell you that uh, if we can see that what you are typing on your WhatsApp, I think everyone type in WhatsApp, right? Yeah, have to type it, right? During typing, what you see? It is getting recommendation, right? Every time we are getting recommendation, and the recommendation is personalized recommendation, isn't it? Agree or disagree? We are all getting personalized recommendation using this mobile phones itself, right? So, you know, you are learning in your own hand. So that means there is something learning mechanism within your mobile phone itself. So this is also known as localized learning. Mind it. This is known as localized learning. And whatever you're typing, no one will get to know what you're typing. But according to your typing speed and according to your typing style, the words will be recommended. Say, for example, someone write, say I want to talk to, say, Shukarna madam. Okay. So in my WhatsApp, I can write hello, but someone writes same thing in with hi. So hi and hello, more or less same, similar. But everyone's habit is different because human being is different. So that will not be disclosed. So that is called privacy preserving technique. Yeah. So that is called privacy preserving technique or privacy preserving model, right? So privacy must be preserved. Privacy must be preserved within your handset, within your system, right? So this is the beauty of the whole system, that learning, see, learning is in your hand. So whatever the things, this green color is learned, and this green color is shared also sometimes. So if I can see the learning by Debashish, learning by Momita, learning by Nilanjana madam, learning by Shukarna madam, learning by Amarto, everyone's learning is combined together. Say thousands of mobile phones, right? Initially, cloud is sending some information to the mobile phones for learning method, but after that, there is a personalized learning. And after that personalized learning, everyone's data is gathered on your mobile phone itself. Then the data go to the local aggregation. Then local aggregation data will go to this mobile phone itself, and this total ecosystem will work like this. But never your privacy will be breached. This is very important. It's very complicated to understand. It's not so easy to understand. But take your time to understand this thing. You can ask me also. Yes, very interesting question is asked by Srijita Basu. May I ask Srijita Basu to unmute yourself? Can you unmute? Yes, you ask your question, please. Srijita Basu, can you hear me?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask this, is there any way to refresh or remove this learning? Because sometimes what happens, we used to maybe like we use some words previously and now we are not so like into those words. Want those words to come as a suggestion in our mobile. So like, is there any way to, automate or remove these suggestions that we get?
Yes, very, very, very important question, right? See, I'm repeating again the whole process. It's very complicated. It took me several months to understand this philosophy. Not easy to understand within few minutes. Okay, there are 4 steps. Step 1, there is a cloud, and or the cloud, or say company like say Samsung. Okay, Samsung has given this learning, this blue color learning to all the mobile phones, same learning model, right? There may be thousands, maybe 1 crore or billions of mobile phones, right? And this, the same learning model, similar learning model, he has given to all the mobile phones. This is step 1. What is step 2? Step 2 is, this is the initialization process. Just like our Java applet program, everyone write Java applet program. It is the initialization, right? After initialization, this mobile is going to say Srijita Basu's hand, right? Is it clear, madam?
Yes, sir.
Now, say last 1 month, whatever you are typing, whatever you're learning, your learning is stored locally on your mobile phone. This is called localized learning. Okay. So after 1 month training, okay, after 1 month training, this mobile phone, whatever the things are actually happening locally, initially starts with the, yellow line, sorry, circle, blue circle. That means it's a one machine learning technique. So after several iteration, it becomes square green. Square green indicates it is a one kind of what is this box, which is basically trained by this circular process or intelligence system, right? Now come to the system and you go to down. Whatever you learn from Srijita Basu's mobile is going to the central aggregation system, B, point B. So this is point A. Initialization is done by the cloud server. Now it is trained locally by the mobile phone of Srijita Basu's mobile or anyone, XYZ, anyone's mobile, Devashish's mobile. Now this model is coming to our aggregation. So see, initially it was a blue circle. Now it becomes square green. Say this is the Srijita Basu's mobile and data is coming to this aggregation point. Now there's a this kind of another green button. There is a star, violet, pink, blue. There are various models are there. These various models, say this is Devashish's model, this is Nilanjana's model, this is Noah's model, this is Amartya's model. There are thousands of users. Whatever the 1 month, the data is trained and is basically captured in this area, right? So this is step B. What is step C? This is the aggregation. Whole, just like machine learning is one neuron, one layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer. Whatever the learning models are there, C is aggregating all the system. What is that? I'm just giving one very simple example. Say hi message or hello message. H for hi, H for hello, H for say hollow, H for say horrible. So what is the writing pattern of the human? That has been basically captured by C. By the C, there is a feedback to the central server. So this is the ultimate federated learning. This is called localized learning, right? This blue is the initial learning. This green is the what is this? Localized learning, right? And many personalized learning. This personalized learning is going to this point, isn't it? And after that, data comes to C. C is the aggregated model. Mind it, this aggregated model is taking or rather considering the typing speed and typing styles and typing what they're typing, but they're not disclosing, say, what Srijita is writing, no individual discloses there. That's why this machine learning is known as privacy preserving federated learning. Clear? So this is the learning technique, and Srijita Basu was asked whether the learning will be erased. Answer is yes. What will happen in the next iteration? What will happen? This is the first iteration. Next iteration, this green, this shape will be going to this all the mobile phone. So this is a new federated model. So this model again come to Srijita's mobile, and Srijita will go through another step. By that process, the previous data will be erased or rather modified. Here. So by this process, actually, we are learning the whole system on your mobile sensors. So this is the very interesting way of learning, and this is the only and very popular learning, because what we eat, what we write, what we type, exactly your identity is not disclosed. But collaborative fashion, collaborative data is disclosed, because there is a collaboration, there is a summation, right? So summation data will be disclosed, right? So you can see there is an initial model is received, initial model go to this mobile phone, initial model is received by the server. Training happens within your data itself, mobile phone itself, and then model will be updated, right? Initially there is some blue square, this kind of thing. This has been updated by orange, green, and this pink. See, this is the initial learning model. After all these three learning models will be going to this aggregation, and using this your deep neural network or any networking model, data will be again trained, and then again new data set, second iteration, third iteration, fourth iteration, and by this process your system will become intelligent. We'll be having a very intelligent network, right? This is the very, very important part of the whole system. Okay, that is the beauty of this aggregated learning or data aggregation. Clear, madam?
Yes, it's quite clear now. Thank you so much.
So it took me almost 1 month to understand the philosophy. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
But if you follow this symbols, everyone, am I asking everyone to follow the symbol? It is a, what is this? This one? This is a triangle, right? This is one initialized learning, and this initialized learning to your Srijita Basu's mobile or Devashish's mobile. Similarly, there are thousands of mobile phones. So they are capturing, see, this orange rectangle, circle, green, orange. So everyone has their own data. But ultimately, data is aggregated. Aggregated where? In the cloud or in the edge or in the fog layer, maybe the fog layer, right? So this is the, similar things, I'm just writing this. So whatever we are learning in the whole day and night, all the learning is stored locally. Whether it is a card, your card is also learning. It's called learning card, edge-based learning. Your thermometer is also learning. Your this headset is also learning. Localized learning. Whatever the edge devices you are there, they're learning locally. See, initially what is happening? Collaborated model. Request to update the model. First local update, then model will go, then it will aggregate, then a feedback will come, which will modify the whole system. By this process, the system will become rich. Rich in the terms, H for high, H for hello, which you will give first. That is very important, right? Is it clear? See, whatever the models are there in the local data, local training model. So that is the thing, that is the beauty, that our mobile phone can also have localized training models within our own server. So you can, the training models can be erased or it can be done, everything. It is up to you. You can reset it. You can start from the beginning. So initially it started with the initial model. Then various models are coming. See, this is a combined model. And combined model is also aggregated with this one. So I'm drawing various pictures. Basically, these are pictures taken from Google, right? And when learning happens when your mobile phone is charging mode. Generally, the night time, for example, I'm giving a talk now in front of you. All my mobile phones and my gadgets are off except my laptop. So I have muted, and this learning is happening during this time. Okay, this is the process, this is the thing, and this is distributed, this aggregation is happening, right? So yes, so this is another thing, same picture, training, testing, analytics. Okay, but there is privacy is not there. I mean, means privacy will not be disclosed. That is the beauty. Whatever is happening in the mobile during the aggregation, your privacy is not leaked. What is leaked? What is actually aggregated? Hi, hello, H for hi or H for hello. Which one will be given in the initial model? That has been governed by the, if you take the sample size of 1 lakh user or maybe 140 crores Indian data, what is the best language by the Indians? Hi or hello, or namaste, in for namaste, or in for new, whatever. Based on that, it is a localized, right? Maybe the learning is different in Chennai. Maybe the learning is different in Calcutta. So this is also known as geospatial learning techniques. So there are various learning techniques also there, right? So it is a totally very interesting and new technology, right? So Arpita Majumdar, can you unmute yourself, Arpita Majumdar?
Yes, sir.
So you have asked a question that privacy is compromised, it is when it is stored in the cloud. Answer is no. No privacy is compromised. Because during the aggregation process, aggregation means that square circle, blue dots, and it's like khichdi, right? During the aggregation process, the aggregator only takes the sample data. The aggregator do not disclose the identity of who is user, right?
Got it, sir.
It took me, Arpita, it took me almost 1 month to understand this topic. This point. Almost one. I was also confused like you.
Okay, sir.
You understand?
Yeah.
Say, I'm just telling you, hi or hello. Which one is frequently taught? It will take from say 1,000 mobiles or 1 crore mobile. It will just aggregate the data. It will not disclose who is Arpita, what Arpita is typing, what Devashish is typing. It is just taking a mixture chanachur, right? It's just like a mixture. It will take it and it will just filter it, sorting. How much frequency, in sorting, sorting in everyone, right? In computer science, sorting and searching. When you sort the data, how much frequency of high is there of say huge data, which is coming from this aggregation model. But it will not disclose, okay? But it will not disclose at all who is typing what. By this process, we are actually preserving this privacy, okay? So this is I think this is the federated learning is one of the most popular and very important machine learning techniques, and there are lots of researches are happening around this, and we are also working in this machine learning models also for various mobile cloud applications. And yeah, what is it? As per reports that data and utilize their learning along. Yes, that someone has asked Shainik, right? Has asked a question that yes, mobile phones are actually capturing all our data, no doubt, but in a privacy preserving manner. Otherwise, what will happen? All the privacy, all data will be disclosed, right? Because data localization is one of the very important law. Government of India is that data should not be going from India to Singapore, India to UK, India to China. So this is called data localization. Government of India and various governments are actually not allowing the country's data to move from one country to other country. Okay. So yes, whatever you are learning, whatever you're processing, you're getting personalized recommendation system, as I've shown in the initial model, but your privacy will not be hampered or disclosed, right? That is the beauty. Okay. But yes, your as a whole collaborative data will be sold, right? Earlier we said that that Ramkrishna says that taka mati taka. Yes, but data is costly. Whatever the data is generated, huge data is generated from the mobile phone, and that data is sold by the companies like Jio, Airtel, Vodafone. All the mobile phone companies are basically they're sending you aggregated data. By this process, whom they're selling the data. Arpita, can you tell me? Arpita, madam, can you tell me?
Yes, sir.
That whatever the data is captured by us through our mobile phone, these mobile phone companies are selling the data to whom?
Google.
To Amazon, to Amazon, to Flipkart, so that they can give you the personalized recommendation system.
yes.
So yes, all the data is sold, but not the privacy is not sold. That is a law, and that is actually happening. So privacy. That is the reason that this federated learning models are actually happening, and especially in healthcare, hospitals, right? If you go to the hospitals, hospital data is lost, then your patient data, what kind of disease you have, everything will be going to the market. Okay, that is not good. No one want to disclose your own health data, right? What is your own disease? So this is your personal data. No one want to disclose it, right? So if you see this weightage calculation in machine learning model W1, W2, W3, yesterday you have class on deep neural network or machine learning. See, whatever the data is coming, deep learning or everything is happening here. So federated learning is not a different kind of learning, but is a technique is different. That's it. But ultimately data is aggregated, this summation sign, learning happens, then the new model will be coming, right? This is that how it works, right? So is it clear? So Google Gboard, see, there is some baseline model, base learning model. It's called baseline model. After this learning, Google gets the data, and data is stored in the cache, training cache. Can you see? Cache memory, training cache. Training cache is very important. And that will give the inference, what kind of models you have to update and where you have to update. Okay. So this is the inference system, and by this way, the client and server will want to communicate. Okay. Yes, Urpita Majumdar asked that can the factory reset stop the recommendation? Answer is yes, but answer is no also. Because when you're logging in on your mobile phone, you have to give your, what is that? Your email ID, right? Urpita madam?
Yes, sir.
So even if you reset your factory, your this some data will be stored along with your, in continuation with your email ID, right, or your mobile phone, and that is the reason even if you reset your mobile phone, you'll still get personalized recommendation, because when you log in again with that mobile number and with that email ID, then you'll be treated as same person, right?
No, sir. I was asking that previous recommendation, which was used earlier. Can we refresh that?
Yes, it can be refreshed. It can
Yeah.
be refreshed. Yes.
Yeah, and that can be done by restoring the factory settings. That's what I'm
Yes,
asking.
yes. That that we are human being, right? Our behavior changes, right? Our behavior is not fixed. Similarly, as a change of the behavior, initially I say I like to read the books. Now I stop reading the book. I just read the PDFs. I stop buying the books. So my buying pattern will be changed, right? So factory reset can change it. Yes. Okay. So I think we are almost at the end of the first session. Any other question? Or then
So let me check the chat box again. And if anyone is interested to ask the question, please you can ask. Please unmute yourself and ask. Any more questions?
Hello, sir. This is Shubhabrata Sengupta.
yes, yes.
Sir, I have a small question to you that we know that we are very much accustomed with cloud, and we are dumping all our necessary documents at cloud, even from our computers, laptops, mobiles. So we are thinking that all these cloud management providers are actually protecting our different documents. So how these clouds are safe regarding these mobile applications, all these things. So this particular question I was thinking. So can you please give some
See,
insight?
there is a standard answer from the security people. They always give the same standard answer that, in this world, nothing is secure. Okay. In this world, nothing is secure, especially especially when we are disclosing all the data. That's the reason that there is a fighting between the hacker and ourselves. Yes, some privacy preserving techniques are there, but there is hackers are also intelligent. They are also trying to find out. So blockchain, obviously, this blockchain is obviously one of the technology is preserving our data, and obviously this blockchain is one of the very important area. That is the reason blockchain is in your mobile phone. Federated blockchain is also there. Federated blockchain. So this federated blockchain, these technologies are actually helping us to make a little bit secure compared to the earlier data, right? So, but there is nothing 100%, right? But I can tell you a very interesting thing. You're from which college, sir?
Sir, I am from IM.
For your information, I'll explain one thing that you heard about quantum computing.
Yes, sir.
So we are also working. If you are interested, you can work with us, no problem. Say that, see, we are all working on quantum machine learning. Okay. We have just completed the, I was working in this quantum computer since 2002, almost 19 years before, right? Quantum computers are making this they're making some cloud called quantum cloud, quantum machine learning, quantum cryptography, and that is really, really interesting. Okay, if you are interested, you can work with us, and you'll see these quantum clouds are very secure, very much secure.
Okay.
So two solutions are there. I'm giving the answer of your question, specific answer. One is blockchain, and second one is quantum technology. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
See, end of the day, we have to make the system secure, and you have to give privacy. Then only, we cannot make ourselves a system, the cloud and the edge. We are not talking about cloud. I am talking about edge intelligence. That is the buzzword, right? And I have started the discussion that edge is machine learned, and learning is from both way. Our edge is intelligent, and intelligence is coming from the edge. It's a two-way intelligence, right?
Exactly, sir.
It is basically intelligence versus intelligence, right? So yes, we are working on this model. It's called handshaking intelligence or adaptive intelligence, or various intelligence techniques are actually happening. And yesterday, your director Satish Chakraborty has mentioned that autonomous drones, right? I'll be explaining in the next step. Autonomous drones are coming up with this kind of self-adaptive intelligence systems, right? So it is very, very interesting areas we can work. And that is the reason I'm asking everyone that you should work together, not isolation, right? I'm always open. I'll share my email ID. I'll share my mobile numbers, WhatsApp number. So everyone have to work together so that we can have a proper federated learning system. Agreed? We can combine our own intelligence. Then only in India, the problem is we work in a isolated fashion. So we must work together to make a proper intelligent cloud or intelligent IoT systems. IoT also requires a lot of intelligence, right? So yes, so these are the very interesting areas coming up to provide the intelligence. It is a double sword. We have to provide the intelligence in the one side of the sword, and one is security in the other side of the sword. It's a double sword, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more question from the participants?
So if you come up with the questions, you bring up your questions, and I think at 12 we will join. That will be better. Give a half an hour break. We'll join at 12. Sharply at 12 I'll join, and whatever the questions are in your mind, we'll discuss it again that time also.
Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful talk. And we are eager to know from sir on the next step on self-adapting intelligence I just mentioned. And we got a very clear picture on federated learning. So thank you, sir, again. And we will be back at 12 according to sir's suggestion. And I want to just announce one thing to the participants. The attendance link will be given in the chat box at 4:15 sharp. So you will get the attendance link from there, and please keep the attendance as well as feedback. Okay, and that will be shared in the chat box. Thank you, participants. Thank you, sir.